So, a thing to consider when you have finally realized that the 7 original gods that were scattered across the earth and created mankind, bioengineered him, when you finally realize that they all had something equal to contribute, okay? They all had something equal to contribute. No one was better than the other. They all had their written texts, their viewpoints. They infused logic and reasoning, mathematics, science, social studies, psychology, everything out there. Okay? When you realize that no one of those gods is any better than the other one, they all have something to contribute. What will you do with your time when you're not trying to proselytize, recruit, drop scripture? When you're not always reading a book, looping and looping, like the same book? What will you do with your time when you're not an activist, trying to denigrate and demonize a person, place, thing, an idea? When you finally look at who you're going to be today and what you want to be tomorrow. If someone took away all of your reading material that you have read over and over and over and over again, and that you kept looping in the same thing over and over again, if someone took those books away, what else would you do with your time that would improve you, improve humanity, improve the world that you live in? And that is the crux of it all. Like, I have been going after the activists, all the binary driven arguments of for and against in politics, religion, and science. But I haven't really delved too much in those that are in the recruitment religions, the missionaries. And it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses, it's also the Mormons. When they send off their young people to go out and into the world and recruit, if they weren't doing that recruitment for another company, for their religion, what would you be doing with your time? See, that's the thing, is the politics, religion, and science is giving people a purpose that is not focused on their own professional and personal development. It's all about looping in the same thing. It's the same mantra of, oh, I hate Trump, I hate Biden, please worship Jesus, Jehovah, Muhammad. But what else could you be doing? And that's the key thing. Then all of a sudden you start reading something else. You start expanding your horizons. You start opening up your mind. You start evolving. First, it does start with the physical. Absolutely, yes, because the physical is what most people are focused on. That's the main thing that they want to deal with. But the next thing, the next evolution, is the spiritual, and it is the intellectual, the body, mind, and spirit. The mind is next. What you feed your mind will say everything about who you are and what you are proposing. And if you're not aligned in body, mind, and spirit, if you haven't evolved your mind and you are cured in the body, you'll be sending off mixed messages of, oh, I want to unify, but here I want to divide. This is my label of a person, place, or thing, belief system, political affiliation, whatever, hate group, love group you belong to. And you all want to unify, but then you're coming from a point of division when you've already labeled yourself. And that's what the whole point of the last couple of days. This is the wrapping up of all my research. Because I finally took it back to the Anunnaki, the 7 tribes of the gods that created the politics, religion, and science to begin with. And they got everybody distracted and so immersed in their words, in their beliefs. And that is the looping of humanity. And this is why dying and reproducing is the platform of systematic control of a slave class. And so this is the substantiation of a slave class when you are adopting the politics, religion, and science binary-driven arguments. And so that's why they want everyone to vote. That's why they want everyone to adopt some religion. That's why my parents try to raise me in the Jewish religion. So, well, at least they'll give you something to rebel against. Right there was the answer. She only raised us in the religion of Judaism because she wanted to give us something to rebel against. Not that, I mean, she also believed in it too, but she's like, hey, if anything, it'll give you something to rebel against. If you don't adopt Judaism, you'll do something else. You'll go into Christianity. You'll just trade one master for another. So I get it. So I think I voted once or twice in the last however many years. And it has been embedded in the American culture. If you don't vote, you're not a good American. Well, you're basically taking part in the brainwashing of the binary-driven arguments to always be entrenched in some kind of enemy versus friend, foe. That is the slave class mentality when you get people to resist each other. And so I knew voting didn't mean anything. I even knew in the conspiracy world, I knew that religion was not something I was on a religious sabbatical for many years. I lived in a Jesus cult, but turned out the Jesus cult leader was a pedophile and he was in jail. And he definitely damaged many kids in that cult. I didn't know that was going on because my friend brought me in from an old family friend, a daughter of an old family friend that went off the deep end and joined the Jesus cult. And I was in my own situation and, I needed to get out of my situation. So she invited me to live in Hawaii, and that's where I lived for 6 months in this Jesus cult. But I was working full time and living on a bunk bed in a girl's part of the Jesus cult. And they were praying to their leader or their Bible like 8 or 9 hours a day. They had a guy that was disabled who was like ALS, who couldn't speak or anything. They put headphones on him and they were pounding the word of God in his ears all day long. And sometimes in the evenings I would take part in the conversations and just ask them questions like I just couldn't really get my mind around religion. Even Judaism I couldn't understand because my parents were saying one thing and doing another. And I'm like, well, if this is the Jewish religion, or if this is the Christian religion, or if this is the Catholic religion, and there's just suffering, there's death, there's people just judging each other, and there is I didn't see the incentive to join a religion. I mean, I did take a comparative religion class in City College of San Francisco. So I understood about the Hindu and the Bhagavad Gita, and I did go to some of the Vietnamese temples. I did go to a Roman Orthodox place where they were doing this with stuff. And so I did get a touch of the different religions, but then I even took it a step further and lived in a Jesus cult. I mean, when I was in the military, I claimed Judaism, and so on the weekends I was able to go off base to the Jewish Community Center and make phone calls and eat candy. And that nobody else was doing that because people were going to their churches and other stuff, and I was at the Jewish Community Center eating. But I was raised Jewish, so that's what I claimed when they asked you if you're going to claim a religion and you're in basic training. What are you going to do on the weekends on a Sunday? Well, I'm going to go make phone calls and eat candy. And that's what we did. And so sometimes having a religion has its privileges, okay? And the food is great. I mean, I love the Jewish food. But I can't seem to want to belong to a religion. And so I know I've turned off a few people on my Facebook. Oh, I know I have. But I mean to. Because at some point, we're going to have to figure out how to unify all the 7 gods and all of their kids that are 7 billion across the globe. Okay? Because even the African nations, the main religions of the African nations are like Catholic, Christian, Jewish, Semitic. Okay? So they've all been proselytized and brought into a fold, into an organization, into a religion. And so, and a lot, and of course, the Mexicans were brought into the Catholicism, and then they have, I don't know if the old religions are still alive in Mexico, like from the Mayans and the Incans and the Aztecs. Well, the Mayans are more the Peru, or no, they're the Mexican. The Incas were the Peru. The Aztecs were like Mesoamerica. Okay, so I've explored all the religions, and with the JJ crowd, I have attracted so many religious people. Okay, and it has been used as a legal way of pounding the gavel. And so I don't want to make you think that I'm making any favorites. I have people on my Facebook who are doing the JJs, have been very supportive. And yes, they're Jehovah's Witness. Yes, they're Jewish. Yes, they're born again Christian. Yes, they are Muslim. I've spoken to all of the rainbows of the religions out there, and I can't get behind any of them because it's divisive. And so I think now with the New World Order, the whole coexist, which I even saw when I was in the conspiracy world with the born again Christians, they didn't like the word coexist. They're like, oh my God, Satan. But then I can see if you have the 7 Anunnaki gods, the giants, that all have their specific personalities and their perceptions of each of them based upon what one god or one group of people who worship a god say about the other, then they're going to say, oh yeah, well that group is satanic. And then they're going to point the finger, well no, you are satanic. No, you are satanic. And so I see this finger pointing, and I saw that in the Freemason, the people are talking about the Illuminati and the Freemason, and they're saying, oh yeah, this religion's satanic, that religion's satanic. And I'm like, well, who, they're all satanic if I'm going to look at from a bird's eye point of view of everyone pointing fingers at each of the 7 gods as children's offshoots of religion. And I'm just like, okay, this is confusing. So I can see why people are atheists, because how do you make sense of that? And all the religions are pointing at each other saying that each other is satanic. And so this is why the Great Reset, this is the New World Order, is coexisting and letting go of all of your labels and your divisive groups and your recruitment mentality of that day to day. I mean, I'll tell you what, if I wasn't doing the Jilly Juice, what would I be doing right now? If I wasn't doing the Jilly Juice mentality and trying to write this book and figure out everything, I'd be watching Netflix. I'd have my book, or if I wasn't, let's say I wasn't doing Jilly Juice at all, I would be suffering and probably divorced, and who knows, back to California trying to figure out what to do with my life. But with the Jilly, if I was done with my book, what would I be doing right now if I wasn't doing Jilly Juice? I'd be watching Netflix and just having my book. So I'd be writing another book about children, because I was once a child. I know it's like to be a child in a world that's trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I'd be writing about a bunch of stuff. This is just the platform for my next venture. Okay, so I would be doing more professional and personal development. And so what would you guys be doing if you weren't punching air, reading scripture, recruiting people into your organization that is not really helping humanity when you think about it, because it causes more division? I mean, if these MLMers weren't selling all of their cheap Chinese goods to all their friends, what else would they be doing? Well, they wouldn't have anything else to be doing. They're raising their kids or going to work. But no, we have all of these recruitment organizations that are trying to take your energy and take all of your resources to line their coffers and extracting energy from you so you don't develop, so you don't make your life better and your kids' life better, because you're so distracted in recruiting for somebody else. And I get the bigger picture. So that's why I never adopted a religion. Oh, but I was on a sabbatical. I drove cross country, met different people. One guy I met when I was driving across in my Mazda Protege, and I was on my way to Mississippi, and this guy was like, he was in a wheelchair, and I was sleeping at the gas station in my car, and he lived at that gas station, and the only job he could do in this wheelchair, because he was a veteran, was to fix whatever was wrong. And he lived there too. And he's like, oh, I'll watch over you to make sure you know hurt you. So I met a lot of different people, okay? And I mean to meet a lot of different people because I want to understand everyone's point of view to figure out what is this world. I mean, and this is all, you guys can do this too. I happened to do it when I was younger because I'm like in Silicon Valley trying to keep up with, you know, the Berkeleys and the Harvards and the Yales and the Ivy League people in Silicon, you know, in biotech and law and the technology. I mean, I was in the technology center. A lot of my friends from junior high and high school are all like in Google, Facebook, heading up their own tech firms, and here I am trying to fucking keep up. So I said, oh, you know what? If I'm not going to be following that formulaic of going to college and then getting married and having 10 kids and going to Europe in the summer, then I'm going to just go and freaking just go and meet everybody and see the world. And so, yeah, when I was in college at City College, I took a loan out, and that loan, part of that loan, which is part of my student loans, was to go to China for 3 weeks and experience China. Okay. And so I definitely put myself, and then I went to Portugal in 2018, but I put myself in situations to understand the bigger picture. And then I learned a lot of the spirituality from like Kevin Van Rompuy and the other dude, I forget his name, Sasha Daygame, which is Alex something else, his last name. And also from Kira, or I forget her first name. But anyways, when I went to Portugal with her and learned about the Catholic, you know, Fatima and all that. So I definitely have enough experience with the religions to have an opinion about religions and about people just miring themselves in the looping in the word and recruitment and being so distracted, taking resources away from themselves to then give to somebody else. And so I don't think we should do that anymore. I think people need to focus on themselves and their families. Yeah, you got to go to work, fine. Is your work aligned with your belief system and your lifestyle and what you see for the future? That's what I'm saying is can we get humans to be aligned in body, mind, and spirit? And that means that you're not part of divisive organizations that serve to destroy. I'm not saying that that's what your intention is, but if you have to go and convert your own people into your line of thought, maybe you need to get out of that religion. If Jilly Juice is being used to help convert your crowd, either you're anti-vax, you're pro-vax, you're Jehovah's Witness, your family, you're born-again Christian, if you have to convert people to the Jilly Juice protocol because you see there's something wrong with that religion or their belief system or their lifestyle and you don't agree with it, instead of trying to convert them, you can drop seeds just like I do. Though I did go onto that Dr. Phil YouTube page of that guy that gave the full video, and I gave them the real quick and dirty about the salt, so they understood salt can cure cancer. And yeah, you can regrow limbs and organs if you get off the salt and not cure yourself, and feed your body all the food and the food supply, so you can actually regrow and code your DNA, so you can have the increasing of protein solubility, reproduction of cells. Salt will cure somebody. So if you have no arms and legs and you're doing so much of the J juice, you won't regrow because you won't be eating and coding. You'll be in a cured state. So I had to make sure I set the record straight on that page. I'm not going into Dr. Phil. I don't really care. But I wanted you to understand why I have been on the religion so much. And I don't care if I lose all of my religious crowd, because the thing is, and I'll tell you why I won't care. If you're so stuck and entrenched in your divisive group where you want to feel special, you want to feel like you know better than somebody else, there's no way you're going to unite the world. And so you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. And so I can't really get behind that. Okay? I will still tolerate people's evolutionary process because they do like the J juice, but I also know there's a battle within them. There's a battle within somebody when they're still stuck in those very divisive organizations of politics, religion, and science and activism. And they're still trying to do the J juice and promote unification. You can't have it both ways, honey. You can't. So it's all or nothing. You can try to straddle, but I'm telling you, the more you straddle division and unification and try to bring them both together, you got to pick one or the other. Division is death. Unification is life. You got to pick which side you want to be on, life or death. And division is death. Not only, maybe you may stay alive with the JILLY, but you're destroying your friends and family because you're trying to convert them. And people know when they try to convert, because they try to convert. When they're entrenched in their death, in their pills, powders, and supplements and all that stuff, and all their operations, and you're trying to convert them, you're taking energy away from them. You're cannibalizing your friends and family so you can get ahead. How generous is that? That's pretty selfish. And so if you know that your energy is not going to do anything but basically cannibalize your friends and family, then the only way you can save yourself and save them is to walk away. And that will send a message much more than trying to convert someone in the JILLY in a divisive organization like your religion, like your political thought process, like your scientific dogma. And that is a conundrum for a lot of people who have been so brainwashed by the exploitation of those that originally created human mankind. Because you can think of like how many generations of in your family have been brainwashed by the same people. The Illuminati created Jehovah's Witnesses. The Illuminati created all of the Christian and the Catholic and the Jewish and the Yah and all that stuff. They're all part of one big happy family, and they have everybody so manipulated and divided and fighting each other on who has the better version of the word of God than somebody else. And then you know that you've been manipulated when you're being forced to go vote to make you be divided, force you to go promote women's rights and this right and that right and blah. And so we have embedded division already in the politics, religion, and science. So there's no way the J-juice can be attached to any religion. It'll cure you in the dogmatic state that you choose to be in. That is for darn sure, because I already see it. I already see it in some of the people that came back to J-juice and those that were in the past of the J-juice. Oh, they're still doing the J-juice. And I see them, I see that they still don't have the collagen. They're still on the J-juice. They're not dealing with the COVID. They're not dealing with the food supply. And they're not evolving. And so, yes, even some of the religious, politics, and scientific dogmatic folk are going to be in a cured state. And then they're going to have a decrease in protein solubility, which means that they will look like the Crypt Keeper at some point. And so if you're not getting off the J-juice after you've done a few resets, and you eat all the food in the food supply, if you're not doing that, then yeah, you're going to be in a cured state of de-evolution, not evolving, not unifying, and speaking out of both sides of your mouth. And that's why the religions of the world have always been at war with each other, because they're all in a cured state, being manipulated by puppeteers in the politics, religion, and science. All the spiritual or the atheist or the non-spiritual, they're all being pulled into, if it's not religion, it'll be pulled into political dogma. If it's not political dogma, maybe scientific dogma. There is a space for anyone who wants to be manipulated and be divided, fighting each other. You will always have a space for that. There's always recruitment into the pro-vax and the anti-vax. There's always recruitment into the Christian, Jewish, whatever, Mohammed, Islam, Muslim. There's always recruitment into all these religions. At some point, you got to stop being recruited into something and focus on yourself. And focus on what are you going to do now when you're not recruiting somebody into anything, not even Jilly Juice. What are you going to do with yourself? Holy shit. Because even Jilly Juice can be a religion. And that was a revelation. Holy crap. That's a revelation. Even Jilly Juice can be used as a religion. And holy crap. And so that's kind of why I'm like fighting against myself, trying to get my information out, though it does feed into those that are in the recruitment religions, because Jilly Juice is just another transition from one recruitment to another, and then trying to convert somebody. And so this is the battle within me. It's going to be the battle within you. What cause are you going to take up on now? You know, if it's not your job, because I've been in sales. Okay, sales is all about recruitment. So I come by this naturally. But it's going to be I'll be writing and writing and writing till the end of time. Okay? And talking about just, I don't know. I'll be talking about JD, because here's the thing. We have people who are dying and reproducing and dying and reproducing, and they're suffering. We have 7 billion people who are suffering. And then there is the Great Reset. And we have generations of kids who have never been introduced to anything like this. They think everything right now is like new. They think they've invented the freaking wheel. And so they're going to have to realize that, honey, sorry, you're 20, you're 25, you're 30. This has all been done before. This ain't nothing new. Stop thinking that you're evolutionary or revolutionary. You need to be evolutionary and stay alive. Don't follow in the footsteps of your parents and your grandparents who are dying and reproducing and dying and reproducing. And maybe we can unify and what industry are you in? Are you in a destructive industry, or are you in a life promoting industry? And if you're in the medical holistic system and you're bringing your kids into that, then you set your kids up to fail, because they will fall in line with doing all the cures and the operations and the transhumanism. And this is where the fall of mankind will continue. And so those that are in the religions that are all about, oh God, the fall of mankind, are actually participating in the fall of mankind. So this is where we're going to be left with not sure where we're going to go. But you have cooking, riding horses, learning how to build stuff, playing the piano and the instruments, writing stories, breeding dogs. Well, not breeding dogs, trying to help all the dogs in the world. If you have, a monthly stipend, you can bring in dogs and get them better and adopt them out and hope they're on the JJ mentality so they don't destroy the dog. There's so many things you can do with your time. So much. Yes, some people are riding motorcycles. That's great. Learn how to ride a motorcycle. Learn how to race. Learn how to travel. I don't know. But there's so much in this world that you can do that doesn't have to be in a recruitment type of mentality. And that is the politics, religion, and science. And sales is just a natural segue into that. And so even I see my own, like, holy crap, Jilly Juice is like a religion. I found my own religion, but I don't want to be that. There's more to life. And so it is about, so I'm going to write about this in my next book, I'm sure, about the embedded recruitment and proselytation and trying to convert people. And it's so knee-jerk. It's so knee-jerk. And so really, how do you sell J-Juice? By having an amazing life, by showing people where you were before and where you are now, and that you don't know what it's going to be like in the next 15, 20 years, because right now you're in the process of learning this. You're getting over that. You came from this point, now you're here, and yeah, you had a couple setbacks, but no big deal. You keep going. You got exposed to like 50 million versions of the COVID, and you survived. You had heart attacks and you had strokes, and you survived. You ate all the food, the food supply. Yeah, they're now turning to lab meat and lab milk, and okay, fine, as long as it has amino acids, fatty acids, prohormones, and minerals. I don't care where the hell my food comes from. Okay, and so this is what we get, how you sell the JJ mentalities. Yeah, you did JJ. That was your platform. That was where everything started then beginning for you, because you were towards the ending. Anyone before the J Juice was on a decline, because that's how our society is set up. You were born to decline, but we're going to make money off of you in that small little window that we can get you to be relatively cured, and we'll throw a bunch of money at you if you do this, 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 and this, and we'll send you on trips and give you alcohol and girls and boys, and you can do whatever the hell you want until you can't, and then you're on disability, and then we'll do more operations and more things to you, so then you deplete, and then you're gone, you're done. So, oh my God. All right, anyways, I'm gonna go and just think about this and smoke a cigarette on this, because holy shit. I don't want to create another religion, but I also want people to give people the opportunity for indefinite life, immortality. I don't want that to be a religion. I don't want you to recruit anybody, but give people the opportunity to change their fucking life, because you know they're suffering and you're adding to it, and you're not making any difference in your friends and family when you try to convert them, because you're not any example. Simply curing your issues is not enough for anyone, because guess what? Cures are a dime a fucking dozen. You know how many procedures there are in the hospital and the medical holistic system? So Jilly Juice curing your ailments is no different than taking an organ out. Okay? This is now about what are you doing with your life? Thank you, Connie. What are you doing with your life to make people say, oh shit, she's not just replacing one religion with another. She's actually doing something with her life. That it's not all about recruiting somebody else into an organization. That's what I want to see, is people being innovative, they're being inventive, and they're not just a cheerleader. Because cheerleaders are a dime a dozen too, just so you know. So now people are left with, okay, if I'm not recruiting for Jehovah's Witness, for Christianity, for Yah, for this, or Judaism, or that, or make somebody wrong, who are you? Who are you going to be? Who are you now? Who do you want to be? That's what I'm looking for. All right, bye.